call to order the regular council meeting of October 10th, 2011. Mr. Spagnol, would you please call the roll?
Allen.
Here.
Dixon. Gibbons.
Here.
Hannon.
Present.
Harrison.
Present.
McLean.
Here.
Mowry.
Here.
O'Brien.
Present.
Peg. 7 present.
We have 7 members present. This time, can we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I have 2 chair announcements. On September 26, 2011, we had an executive session of council regarding public works and police department staffing in contractual issues. And tonight, before we came out, October 10, 2011, regarding public works and police department staffing in contractual issues. At this time, I'd like to turn to the librarian's report. We have none.
There's none tonight.
The police chief's report in Chief Mackey.
Thank you, Mr. Mowry. Good evening, everyone. I have a few announcements this evening. First of all, we will observe Halloween, or trick-or-treat as you would have it, on October 31st from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. It's customary to remind people to please be careful when you're out driving around the community because the kids will be running all over the place. And for the parents, we ask you to please check the costumes, especially of the little ones, to make sure that they can see through their masks. It's also highly recommended that you have some type of flashing light or a flashlight available. Also, if there are any issues or problems, which we never seem to have, and hopefully we'll have another safe and happy trick-or-treat this year, but if you would have any concerns, we ask you to please contact the police department immediately. Applications for the Citizens Police Academy and Law Enforcement Apprenticeship programs are available on the website or at the police records room. Both programs start on January 18th, 2012 and will run for 12 consecutive weeks. The annual Bethel Park Police Pals Food Drive will be commencing on Monday, November 28th, and it will run for a little over 2 weeks. It ends on December 14th. As always, we look for volunteers to help us out to not only collect the food, but sort it and get it boxed up and ready for distribution. So if anyone would like to volunteer for the food drive, please give Officer Regatti a call, and his number is 412-831-6800, extension 104. In the past couple years, we participated with the Drug Enforcement Administration on the Drug Take-Back program. That's been a hugely successful program. And once again, just briefly, if you have unused, unwanted, expired medications, you will be able to bring it in and have that medicine safely disposed of. The next take-back program will be on Saturday, October 29th, from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Of course, that'll be over at the community center. Please do not bring liquid medications. We don't have the means to dispose of them, but certainly any medications in pill form. Just take them out of the prescription bottle, put them in a plastic baggie, bring it in, and we will safely dispose of your medications. And the final announcement is the next Crime Watch meeting will be held on Wednesday, October 19th at 6:30. That again is at the Bethel Park Community Center. When I first started announcing the Crime Watch program and our goal of 1,000 volunteers by the end of the year, we're getting closer. We have over 600 volunteers at this time, and we will have a couple more meetings before the end of the year, and hopefully we will realize our goal of 1,000 at that time. And that is, yes, sir.
I don't know the source of them, but last year you distributed some little flashing lights, and they were very popular on my street. You know, had kids run them down. Is that something that's available this year? Like I say, I don't remember where you got them, but
I am not sure if we have the flashing lights or not, but if anybody is interested in flashing lights, give us a call at the police department. We'll certainly take a look, and if they are available, we'll make sure that we get them passed out.
well, last year some kids showed up with them. The ones that didn't, I had a few, and I gave them to them. It was really interesting. You could see the kids going up and down the street with those little flashing lights. So I just thought I'd ask.
I thought I saw Mr. O'Brien walking with a few of those last year also.
I had a couple other colors too.
Okay, thank you very much, Chief. At this time, we turn to the fire department's report, the fire chief's report.
Good evening, everyone. My name's Bob Brown. I'm the Deputy Fire Chief at the Bethel Park Volunteer Fire Company. Before I give you the totals for the month of September for our fire calls, just a couple items that we wanted to go over. Reminder that the fire company holds bingo every Saturday. Doors open around 5 p.m. Bingo starts at 7. It's at the Brightwood Fire Station on Brightwood Road. Also a reminder, October being Fire Safety Month, towards the end of the month, you want to try to remember to change all your smoke detector batteries and your carbon monoxide detector batteries. Usually we do it coincides with the changing of the clocks, which I believe is in the first week of November this year. So that's just a reminder to try to do that. Also along those same lines, folks that have log burning fireplaces, you want to make sure to check those. Have them serviced if you haven't had them serviced in a few years to make sure there's no buildup in there that can cause any fires that unfortunately we would have to come to. Also a reminder that our third mailing regarding our fundraising is going to go out shortly. The only reason you would get a third mailing is if you didn't donate to us up to this point. So we would ask you, if you haven't been able to donate and you're able to, please do so. And the third mailing will just be that general reminder. If you happen to have donated and do receive a third mailing, just of course disregard it. And the final note before the report, keep a lookout in the upcoming almanac. I'm not sure which edition it's going to be, but we had two of our members recently run in the Tunnel of Towers race up in New York City. Speaking with them, it was a very interesting thing that they participated, coincided with the 9/11 anniversary, so keep an eye out on that. It should be a really good and interesting article. And finally, I have the report for the month of September. We had a total of 27 fire calls. The majority of our calls were the false alarms, whether they be good at, most of them are good intent false alarms. We did have one confirmed structure fire back towards the beginning of the month at Abbeville Apartments. And other than that, it was just the, I believe it was 4 hazardous condition response calls. Let's see what else. 4 rescue and emergency medical service calls, and a couple other items that would total up to the 27 for the month of September. And other than that, unless there are any questions from anybody, I can try and answer.
No, thank you very
Okay,
much.
thank you.
At this time, we turn to the mayor's report in Mayor Morton.
Good evening, everyone. Good to see you here, Mr. President, Council. We just have a couple of announcements tonight as well. Before we get to the birthday things, I was looking at this list, and we have about 9 people on here, and they're all ladies. Now, I ran into this last year, and I was thinking about it. Why are there no men on here? Well, these dates that they were born was 1916 to 1921. So a lot of these guys were in World War I, and probably lost some there, and plus men kind of tend to die before their wives anyway, so that probably explains it. But it's interesting. Happy birthday to all these girls anyway. We'll begin with Felicita Paul. She's 95, and happy birthday to her. Stella Liss is also 95. Happy birthday. Katie Bradford and Julia Haas are both 93. Happy birthday, ladies. Josephine Spala is 92, as is Ruth Bachman. Verona Winkowski and Ella Moore are 91, and Genevieve DeLugas is 90. And we certainly do wish you ladies a very, very happy birthday. Some of them we saw just last Friday. But Friday we had our luncheon, for our annual luncheon for the birthday, 90-plus birthday club. And we had Patsy Denty and Kurt Campbell, both of which these two men have been here at this meeting one year or another. Well, actually, they came on their 100th birthday. But this year, Patsy Denty is celebrating his 102nd, and Kurt Campbell is celebrating his 103rd. So happy birthday to those guys, even though they weren't born this particular month. We had a great time at the fireman's dinner the other night. Mrs. Morton and I went over, had the honor of being invited. We went, and we had a further honor having dinner with Lori and her husband. And it was a very nice evening. It was well attended, good entertainment, a comedian that was exceptional, and it was just a very nice affair. Think about going next year. I think all of us council would enjoy it as much. The announcement, the other announcement that I want to make is regarding Light Up Night, which is going to happen on December 5th this year. And we're going to double up with another project. We're going to be dedicating the time capsule that same evening. So between now and then, we'll get the hole in the wall and we'll get the capsule put together. And on December 5th, we'll do both of these things and we'll be done with it. And that's all I have tonight.
Okay,
Thank you,
very
Mr.
much,
Chairman.
Mayor. Any discussion? Okay, at this time we turn to the approval of the minutes, and Mr. Allen.
I move that we approve the regular council meeting minutes of September 12th, 2011.
Second.
There's a motion and a second that we approve the regular council meeting minutes of September 12th, 2011. Any discussion on this item? Mr. Spagno, would you please call the roll?
Gibbons?
Yes.
Hannon?
Yes.
Harrison?
Yeah, yes.
McLean?
Yes.
Maury?
Yes.
O'Brien?
Yes.
Allen?
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0. Mr. Allen.
The next item is a public hearing of September 26, 2011. I move that we approve the public hearing minutes of September 26, 2011 regarding the Comcast cable franchise proposed agreement between the municipality and Comcast of California, Pennsylvania, Utah, and Washington.
Second.
There's a motion and a second that we approve the public hearing minutes of the September 26th, 2011 meeting regarding the Comcast cable franchise proposed agreement between the municipality and Comcast of California, Pennsylvania, Utah, and Washington. Any discussion of this item? Mr. Spagno, would you please call the roll?
Hannon?
Yes.
Harrison?
Yes.
McLean?
Yes.
Maury?
Yes.
O'Brien?
Yes.
Allen?
Yes.
Gibbons?
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0. Mr. Allen.
The next item is a special meeting of September 26, 2011. I move that we approve the special meeting minutes of September 26, 2011, adopting an ordinance authorizing execution of a cable franchise agreement between the municipality and the Comcast of California, Pennsylvania, Utah, and Washington.
Second.
There's a motion and a second that we approve the special meeting minutes of September 26, 2011, adopting an ordinance authorizing execution of a cable franchise agreement between the municipality and Comcast of California, Pennsylvania, Utah, and Washington. Any discussion of this item? Mr. Spagno, would you please call the roll?
Harrison?
Yes.
McLean?
Yes.
Maury?
Yes.
O'Brien?
Yes.
Allen?
Yes.
Gibbons?
Yes.
Hannon?
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0. This time I turn to the approval of the bills and payrolls, and Mr. Allen.
I move that we approve the bills and payrolls for the municipality per bill list 101011 in the amount of $2,738,565.77.
Second.
There's a motion and a second that we approve the bills and payrolls for the municipality per bill list number 101011 in the amount of $2,738,565.77. Any discussion of this item? Mr. Spagno, would you please call the roll?
McLean?
Yes.
Maury?
Yes.
O'Brien?
Yes.
Allen?
Yes.
Gibbons?
Yes.
Hannon?
Yes.
Harrison?
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0. At this time, I turn to the resident comment section for non-agenda items. Hearing none, can we turn to general policy and finance, and Mr. Hannon?
Mr. President, there are no items on our general policy and finance this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Hanna. I just have
Mr. Meyer?
just real quick, I think it's been reported in the paper that at the end of September 1st, actually, Municipal Council received a copy of the proposed 2012 budget. Wasn't good news. It was basically maintaining the services that we had for the municipality, and it was recommended that we had a 1.25 mil increase. Council has asked staff to look at it. We went through a list in our last committee meeting when we were doing the budget review. We've cut several $100,000 out. We met tonight before coming out. We cut some more money out, and we do have a public hearing scheduled for, I believe it is the 24th of October. It's 7:45 in this room. I would encourage anybody that has any questions. There's a copy of the budget in the library. If you have any specific questions, to copy or contact your council member or mayor. We're looking at everything. I think it was reported we were looking from fireworks to personnel to equipment, grass cutting. Everything is on the table at this point in time. There's not a lot in there that without affecting the service level of the community, but we're always looking on how to do things better. If there is a savings that we can make, we're trying to. Not every decision we make is going to be right, but I promise you that we're going to look at everything, and then after the budget's done on a regular basis, we do review the budget. If some of the decisions we made don't necessarily work out as we thought, we're looking to make adjustments. And kind of tied into that, there's two other, I'll say, unknown factors for us in 2012. First being is the state is going into a regional collection system. We had used Jordan Tax in the last few years, several years actually, to collect our wage tax. Effective the first of the year, the state, in their infinite wisdom, passed some legislation a few years ago, and now there will be 5 tax collectors for the entire Allegheny County. It's the city of Pittsburgh, and then the county is broken up into 3 areas. Our region, which is the southern region, will be done by Jordan Tax Service. We'll still do the collections. From a downside is, well, it's projected to increase because our collection rate, because now the employers are mandated to collect our earned income tax. The downside is we're paying a little bit more to have our taxes collected, and we're not 100% sure what the flow-through process is going to be. You know, we're not sure what our cash flow is going to be. So it's going to be a year of concern, and Mr. Romito will be monitoring our finance director on getting our monies in. So that's a tough situation for the municipality. Kind of tied in with that, it's been reported in the paper over the last 2 years, is there is a new reassessment coming to Allegheny County. And I will say that we may or may not see it. There's been some reports it was due out in December. Other reports have it due out in early next year. This county, from what I read in the newspaper, is projecting to be about 70,000 appeals. Having said all that, we're going to probably end up passing our budget based on the information that we know at that time. If the assessment value changes, we don't normally send our tax bills out till June, July. There's a chance that the millage rate could be adjusted. It would have to be revenue neutral to where we, I believe, and this is my own opinion, of where we approve the budget this year. You know, we're going to see clarification from the solicitor. We're going to see if and when the new assessment comes out, but we could be faced with a potential financial hardship, because the last time the assessment was done, municipality did a revenue neutral where we did not take the 5% windfall. Because the appeals that were in play, it took us about 3 years to catch back up on the revenues we lost. In year one, under the new system, we actually collected less than we did the last year on the old system. So there's a number of different factors that are going to be influencing our decision process, but rest assured we're looking at everything. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Meyer. Any other comments?
Mr. Allen.
Mr. Harrison.
I'd like to address 2 issues. At the last meeting, I spoke about the prevailing wage, something that I've spoken about many, many times in the past. I'll just point out that Representative Smith was here at the meeting, and the reason I mentioned that is Representative Marr twice had submitted legislation to increase the dollar value for prevailing wage determination. And I talked to Senator Pippy's office and Representative Marr's office and Representative Smith's office, and apparently got the wrong impression and indicated that he was in support of such legislation, and I got a call where I really got reamed out for saying that, and I probably didn't improve my relationship with him by telling him that I thought approving it was a no-brainer, and I still believe that. But the reason I want to discuss it now is that I got a letter dated September the 30th from the Pennsylvania State Association of Boroughs from a assistant director of government affairs named Ron Gertza, a person that I've communicated with a lot on this subject. And I just want to read a few words to tell you what he's saying. He's saying, I know you have been a prevailing wage reform warrior over the years. I wanted to call your attention to the recent action alert we sent to all boroughs across the state. The time is now, and he put now in capital letters for prevailing wage reform, and I think it's now or never. And that, that's exactly what I said last month when I spoke this issue. So I sent a copy of this letter to all the council members, to some staff members, and got it sent out to all of the members of SHACOG. That's South Hills Area of Government. We're a member. I think there's something like 30 communities now that are members of that. And I've spoken to them a couple of times about this issue over the past, not this year, but when I've been pushing the past. So the reason I'm bringing it up is that, as Mr. Gertza says, it's essentially now or never, and it's going to save money in contract consideration for municipalities, school boards, authorities, and that type of thing. So I would encourage you folks to call your legislators and tell them that you've been made aware that that's pending, that the people like the Boroughs Association saying that it's now or never, so let's make it now. The other thing that I'll just mention in passing is Mr. Murray mentioned the fact that there was a letter in the Almanac, and I appreciate the Almanac publishing the letter, which is my take on the proposed budget submitted by the municipal management. And so I would just remind you, and Mr. Murray indicated, that on October the 24th, there'll be a hearing on the budget. And so if you want to talk to council about any issues in the budget, that's the time to appear here in the council chambers and make your feeling known, either pro or con, just whatever your take. But my single big concern is the proposed budget. Mr. Murray said it's been worked on now, but the proposed budget was an increase of 57.3% in the real estate tax. That's 2.18 mils to 3.43 mils, and so the total increase goes into real estate taxes, and that covers a large segment of the population, particularly in the Fifth Ward, of fixed income people, where if part of it could be put in a earned income, these people don't like to pay taxes either, but at least they're getting a paycheck every week, 2 weeks, or every month. So my hope is we can find ways, two things. One, ways to reduce the total amount of the increase, and the second is to redistribute the collection so it'll help the fixed income people in terms of the burden on them. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Harrison. Is there any other discussion from council? Hearing none, can we turn to planning and zoning and Mr. McLean?
Thank you, Mr. President. First item is a transfer of license agreement for 2840 South Park Road. I move we approve the request made by James Hughes to transfer his rights and responsibilities as contained in the August 13, 2004 license agreement for the utilization of a parcel of property located at 2840 South Park Road to RIMM LLC.
Second.
There's a motion and a second to approve the request made by James Hughes to transfer his rights and responsibilities as contained in the August 13, 2004 license agreement for the utilization of a parcel of property located at 2840 South Park Road to RIMM LLC. Any discussion of this item? Mr. Spagna, would you please call the roll?
Mr. Mowry.
Yes.
O'Brien.
Yes.
Allen.
Yes.
Givens.
Yes.
Hannon.
Yes.
Harrison.
Yes.
McLean.
Yes.
7-0.
Motion passes 7-0. Mr. McLean.
There are no additional items under planning and zoning, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. McLean. Are there any additional items? Can we turn to health, safety, and welfare and Mr. McLean?
Thank you, Mr. President. We have no items on the agenda under health, safety, and welfare.
Thank you, Mr. McLean. Are there any additional items? Hearing none.
Mr. Mowry, if
Mr.
I may?
McLean.
Yes, I have two items I'd like to mention. The first is they're actually both related to some items of recognition that I think are appropriate for members of this council. The first is that our governor, Tom Corbett, has recently announced the formation of a Pennsylvania Dairy Leadership Council. And our governor had the good insight and perception to appoint one of our members to that council. Specifically, our president, Mr. Mowry, has now been appointed to that board. So I wanted to congratulate Mr. Mowry.
Thank you.
In addition, the Allegheny County Council has recently named Jim Hannon, the councilman from the 3rd Ward, to become a member of the Council of Friends organization of South Park. And so I wanted to recognize Mr. Hannon for that as well. And I think what this shows is it's nice to see that some of the good leadership we have on this council is being recognized not only within this community, but outside of it as well, and that these are always things that will hold us in good stead as a community as we move forward. So I wanted to recognize both of them.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
At this time, we turn to Public Works and Maintenance and Mr. O'Brien.
Thank you, Mr. Mowry. I have two items here tonight. There are no agenda items tonight. First of all, I have a reminder for fall leaf collection. It's October 17th to the 21st, October 24th to the 28th, October 31st to November 4th, November 7th to the 11th, November 14th and 18th, November 18th to the December 2nd, and leaf collection is not for Thanksgiving week. So remember the leaf collections. The other item I have tonight is a wonderful announcement. As you may have known, we have been working to try and find Vietnam veterans who passed in service, in country, in the war, and we've accomplished that. And Jim McLean, our councilman from the 7th Ward, has graciously offered to help us with a certain individual that he remembers from his youth. And without further ado, James McLean.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. O'Brien. As Mark indicated, and as we've mentioned in the last couple of meetings that we've had, I remembered at the last Memorial Day event that a family that lived next door to me had a son who died in Vietnam. And we were able to determine that Charles Michael Swaim had in fact lived in Bethel Park and for a period of time attended school here, including through his junior high and through his high school years. And that allowed us to then launch a process whereby we wanted to verify that information, but also see if we could find some of his family members so that we could make them aware of what we wanted to do through the Veterans Memorial Committee and have Charles honored. The good news to report is that through the good work of a lot of people over the last month or two, we have found Charles's twin sister, Margaret, who contacted me last week, as well as his younger sister, Julie. And to just give you the idea of how the connection is made, through a lot of people working hard, we found a gentleman now living in Florida who had served with Charles and actually was injured in the same incident that Chuck died in. And by contacting him, he had maintained some connection over the years with Charles's twin sister. And he contacted her, let her know about our efforts to try to find the family, sent her a copy of the article that had appeared in the Almanac, and one evening last week I was opening my email and there's an email from Chuck's twin sister. So I spoke with her last week. She is deeply honored, as is her sister. They are the only two surviving siblings. Chuck's parents have deceased. His older brother is now deceased. But they are very honored and are planning to attend the Memorial Day event next May, when we will add Charles Michael Swain's name to our memorial here. So it's a wonderful, wonderful thing for us to have been able to do this. It's also a great example of the kind of things that a community can accomplish. I want to, in that regard, extend some thanks to State Representative Matt Smith's office, and in particular Lauren Hurley from that office, who has helped before in locating other veterans and veterans' families. She was really tremendous this time again. Dick Kraft, just a resident of Bethel Park, but one who's very interested. By his last count, he had sent 47 emails to various people in an attempt to see, and Dick even spent hours looking through the yearbooks in the library to see if he could find any reference to them. And then I also want to thank the Almanac and Deanna Carpenter, the reporter who wrote that article, because it's clear that had a big impact. As a result of that, I got phone calls from people as far away as Texas and Florida who knew something about Charles and his twin sister when they were here. So anyway, it's hard not to it's hard to exaggerate the significance of a moment like that, like this. However, we still have the most important part of this whole endeavor to do, and that'll be next Memorial Day, when we honor Charles and add him to the memorial, and it'll just be wonderful that his two sisters will be there.
Does the family live nearby? Are they in Pennsylvania?
No, the one sister is in Pennsylvania, but Philadelphia, and the other sister is in Wisconsin. And they've each been back here, I think, one time since they left. So they're excited to come back again to Bethel Park, and couldn't think of a better reason to do it.
Very good.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good job,
Mr.
Mr.
Chairman,
Flynn.
I'd like to take the opportunity to thank Jim.
Yes.
Jim, this is great. You stepped up, and I just don't know what to say. I know the feeling. It's a great feeling. It's just a wonderful thing to bring one of our people home. And I want to thank you on behalf of the Veterans Memorial Committee, with all our tradition and our I don't know, our dedication, and the members that are no longer with us will be proud of your work.
Well,
thank you.
Thank
Thank you,
very
Mr.
much.
O'Brien and Mr. McLean. Any additional items? Is there a motion to adjourn?
Move adjourned.
Second, all in favor? Aye. Meeting adjourned. Good night, everyone.
Hi, I'm State Representative Matt Smith, and I'll be hosting a special tribute to Vietnam War veterans on Thursday, November 3rd from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. at the Bethel Park Community Center. I began this effort in 2008 with an effort to recognize veterans of World War II, and last year we honored Korean War veterans. I'm honored to continue this effort by hosting the event to recognize Vietnam War era veterans for their sacrifice to our nation. If you are a veteran and would be interested in attending this special event, please contact my office. While we will specifically be honoring Vietnam veterans, all veterans and their families are welcome to be part of this commemoration of those who served. For more information or to register for the event, please contact my office at 412-571-2169 or visit my website at www.pahouse.com/msmith. Thank you very much.
Hey, you ready? Of course I am. What are you waiting for? I was waiting for you. So we're gonna continue the hubby thing real quick. Okay, places everyone. In a minute! Do I have to do everything myself? You can't do it all by yourself. I'd say that... Sure I can. No, he can't. And neither can I. So why don't you come on down to BPTV and help us make some of the great community programs you see on this station every day. Yeah! I mean, we can help you make your TV show ideas a reality. It's pretty awesome. So come on down. I mean, I am pretty good, but I'm sure I can use your help.